So today I want to remind you that whenever you're trying to answer a question on a test, you want to figure out if it's a question that's related to the whole text. And then if you know it's related to the whole text, you can follow some of my part to whole steps. Here they are. Strong test takers break part to whole questions into steps. Step one, think, what is this text really about? So that means that before you try to figure out the part that the question might be asking, you're thinking actually about the whole story. Second, you think about the part the author wants you to look at. So you're thinking first, big picture, and then you're going to zoom in on that particular part. And then the third step is to think how the part shows or develops the whole thing. So let's put this into practice. I'm going to show you how to do this by using a sample question. So here is my sample question. Let's just zoom in on this one. And just like how we normally would, whenever we're trying to answer any question on the test, we actually don't really look much at the answer choices. We just focus first on the question itself. We want to figure out what the question's asking, have some answers ready to go before we even dive into those answer choices. That will help us to be really successful. So the question here is, how does paragraph 4 in the excerpt from Under the Persimmon Tree, how does paragraph 4 support a central idea in this passage? Okay, so let's think about our steps. The first step is to think, well, what is the whole text really about? Okay, so I want to think about what the whole text is about. Then I want to think about where paragraph 4 kind of fits into that whole thing. And then I'll think about how that supports the whole text. So that means that before I even think really deeply about paragraph 4, I'm just thinking about the central message for this whole thing. So I'm going to skim over the text. I'm going to look at all my crazy annotations, and I'm going to think about what the central message is or could be. And I'm going to be careful not to just commit to one. I want to have options, just like how there are going to be options for the answers. I want to have a few options for what this text is really about. Okay, so I'm looking through the text. I'm just going to look over my notes. I love using my coding tool, all the story elements, because it kind of clues me in on parts, things that might feel important, how things are building and connecting. Okay, so we have this family that's in this rural place. This main character has some really important roles in her family. She gets scared, but she does her work anyway, I remember over here. And she does this to help out her mother and the rest of her family. Okay, so a couple things that this, like a couple ways it could go. Possible answers to this question. What is the text really about? So a couple things. Maybe it's about, so like one thing could be like how don't give up on your goals. Maybe family comes first because she ultimately works hard for her family. Maybe it's like persevere no matter what. Something along the lines maybe of like just never giving up. Maybe something like that. A few different, or maybe, oh right, she's really scared in the story. So maybe another one like fear. Maybe it's like will conquers fear. Okay, so now I have a few possible answers to what this text is really about. Now, still, I'm not looking at any of my answer choices. I'm just going to go to paragraph 4 and think about what that paragraph could be developing. So where does the author want me to look? paragraph 4. I'm going to go there. I'm going to reread it, and I'm going to think, okay, what of these possible central ideas could it be developing and how? All right, let's zoom in here. Paragraph 4. Noor, stop playing, Madajan says. Najma, get up. She tugs at my quilt again. After you fetch firewood, you must feed this bukri, she says, motioning to the brand new baby goat that stands on quivering stick-like legs near the head of the cot where I sleep. She was born yesterday, and her mother won't feed her. Okay, so I'm thinking how this fits in with possible central ideas so far. So let's see. I think that maybe it could be showing how, it's important to maybe it's like take care of your family, like family comes first, be responsible. I'm even adding some because it's making me think of other things it could be showing. Okay, so I have a few ideas. I think that it could fit in with a few, like, maybe it's like the family one feels important here, the thing about being responsible, maybe, persevere. Okay. So I'm going to now go to my answer choices, and I'm going to pick the one that feels like it could match up with my predictions. All right, so let's see what our possible answers are. A. It demonstrates that baby goats are hard to take care of. Remember, the trick here is thinking about how that part relates to the whole, what the text is really about. Right away, I'm thinking, no way that can be it, because the whole text isn't about baby goats. Maybe if it's like, what is paragraph 4 about? Maybe. Even still, I'm kind of iffy on it. But if I'm thinking about the whole text, the whole thing, it's not really about baby goats. That's just kind of like one detail. So I think it's probably not A. But let's keep going. B, it shows how everyone in a family needs to help out. That kind of matches some of the ideas I had, like family comes first, be responsible, because in the story, a lot of the big ideas, the ones that I was thinking of before, especially, are about like how you have to do things, but the family can be a driving force. Like I remember later in the story, Najma, she has to kind of like overcome her fear, but it's not necessarily because she just wants to overcome a fear, but because she wants to help her family. So I think that B could be a possible answer. Let's see what else there is. So now I'm thinking it might be B, maybe. It shows that Najma's mother is harsh. I mean, maybe like the details here, but again, the whole text for what the text is all really about. First, it doesn't match any of my predictions. And also, it really doesn't match the overarching message of the story. So I'm thinking probably no. And then D, it shows that it's important to conquer fears. Okay, this is tricky because I know that fear is an important part of the story. Like I remember like a lot of my jots later on are about fear, overcoming fear for the sake of your family. So that was really, and so when you think about it, I'm really looking back at the text, like where does the author want me to look? Does the author want me to look over here in paragraphs 10, 11, 12? No, the author wants me to look paragraph 4. Does paragraph 4 have any details about fear? Can I touch them with my finger? Any details about fear? Not really. So I'm thinking that the only answer that I really can defend with actual details from this part, and that also match my predicted main idea statements, is probably going to be B. It shows how everyone in a family needs to help out. I have details that fit from this one part. And I also, if I'm thinking big picture, it also could fit to other parts of the story. So I hope that what you've taken away from this is that it's really important on a test to do several things, but the big thing is that really thinking about the question and breaking it down into parts, especially when those questions are hard. So I hope that what you take away from this is whenever a question references the central message or the whole text or the entire passage, that you think first about what that whole thing is about. Get some ideas going. Then look at the part that's being referred to. And then once you have these two things kind of set up in your head already, you'll be ready to answer questions that help you decide what that part really shows. So think big, then think smaller, then get specific. I hope this helps you, and I hope that not only do you take away from this part to whole strategies, but also test taking strategies. Good luck, friends. I can't wait to see what you do.